Today we're looking at something pretty wild happening in China, a corporate war.
Yeah, and it sounds almost absurd when you first hear it.
Right. We're talking about these huge tech companies, billion-dollar giants locked in this fight over a subsidized cup of milk tea.
It sounds small, but the scale is just mind-boggling. You've got Alibaba, Meituan, JD.com pouring billions into this. It started as food delivery, but it's exploded into this battle for, like, total instant retail dominance.
And it's forcing these companies to completely change how they operate. It's huge.
Absolutely systemic transformation.
So that's the puzzle we're digging into, this whole 2025 food delivery and instant retail war. We'll look at the initial strategies first. Some pretty clever move.
Before it just dissolved into a cash fight.
Exactly. The Milk Tea Festival Showdown, we're calling it. And maybe most importantly, the massive, painful changes happening inside these companies because of it. Big reorganizations.
Yeah, really shaking things up at the top.
Okay, let's jump in. So the first phase, it wasn't just about cutting prices, was it? It was more strategic.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It kicked off with a real clash of business models. JD.com's chairman, Richard Liu, he announced they were getting into food delivery, but with a, quote, completely different approach.
Okay, different how?
Mm-hmm.
This was the 7FR-ish kitchen idea.
That's the one, 7FR's Kitchen. And it wasn't just, listing restaurants on an app like everyone else. JD used its biggest asset, that massive, trusted supply chain.
Right, they're known for logistics and quality.
Exactly. So they got into the production side. They partnered with well-known regional restaurant brands called dish partners.
Okay.
These partners gave the recipes, the R&D, basically the food ideas. Then JD, through 7FRH Kitchen, built dedicated kitchens to handle the actual cooking, quality control, sales, everything.
Wow. So JD was actually making the food.
In a way, yes, under strict control, using the partner's recipe. And they shared the revenue per dish sold. It was a huge infrastructure play.
Massive. I heard they were aiming for something like 10,000 of these 7FRE-ish kitchens in just 3 years.
10,000, yeah. It was incredibly ambitious. They were betting that centralized production, their supply chain, their quality control, that it would beat Meituan's more open, decentralized model.
The big bet on vertical integration.
A huge capital-intensive bet, a potential masterstroke, really, designed to offer this super consistent, high-quality product.
But Meituan didn't just sit there, did they?
Not at all. This is where Meituan showed, frankly, incredible speed and foresight. They basically saw this coming. They anticipated JD's move and had a counter ready almost immediately.
What was their counter?
They launched something called Raccoon Canteen. Raccoon Canteen. Okay, how is that different from JD's kitchens?
Well, JD was trying to build thousands of new kitchens, new infrastructure. Meituan positioned Raccoon Canteen completely differently, not as a new store builder, but as reassuring delivery infrastructure for their existing restaurant partners. So instead of competing by building kitchens, they helped their current restaurants get better at delivery.
Precisely. They went to their big partners, the established chains, Lao Shanji, Deco's, Quanjude, over 100 brands, and offered them a whole suite of tools.
Tools like what?
Things like access to better ingredient supply chains, special tamper-evident packaging, very important for customer trust, digital operations support.
Okay.
And even these live-streamed bright kitchens so customers could literally watch the food being prepared, boosting confidence in hygiene.
That's clever. So they essentially armed their existing partners to fight JD's quality claims.
Exactly. It neutralized JD's main advantage almost overnight. JD's plan, while smart, was just too slow, too expensive compared to Meituan just upgrading its massive existing network.
So JD's big strategic move kind of fizzled out.
It got significantly neutralized, yeah. And JD, having committed so much capital, found itself pushed to the sidelines pretty quickly.
Which turned the main battle into a head-to-head between Meituan and Alibaba's platforms.
Right. Ele.me and Taobao Flash purchase, which are both under Alibaba. That's when the strategic finesse just ended, and it became a raw fight for order volume, pure escalation.
And the market just exploded.
Completely. You have to grasp the numbers here. Before this really kicked off, China's daily orders for food delivery and instant retail were around 100 million.
Which is already huge.
Already massive. But then, with this war heating up, especially with Taobao Flash purchase jumping in, that number shot up to 250 million orders per day.
250 million daily. That's staggering.
It's almost unbelievable market acceleration. Globally unprecedented, really.
And this surge was mainly fueled by Alibaba, specifically Taobao Flash purchase, coming in with just massive subsidy.
And massive is an understatement. They entered the fray armed with a reported 50 billion yuan subsidy war chest.
50 billion yuan. What's that in US dollars? Like 7 billion?
Around 7 billion US dollars, yeah. Just for subsidies, purely to buy market share and volume. It's an insane level of spending.
And that spending led directly to this focal point you mentioned earlier, the Milk Tea Festival showdown.
Exactly. This is where things got, well, almost comically intense. There's this internet meme in China, about 6 years old, the first cup of milk tea in autumn.
Okay.
It happens around the specific solar term in early August. Meituan usually owned this event, offering discounts. This year, they did their usual big promotion. Spend 20 yuan, get 20 yuan off milk tea. Pretty aggressive.
Standard big discount. But Taobao?
Taobao flash purchase just went nuclear. They didn't just match the discount. They decided to give away 1 million cups of milk tea for free every single day of the event.
1 million free cups a day.
Yep. And they backed it up with celebrity endorsements, tie-ins with huge games like Peacekeeper Elite, massive, expensive art installations in Shanghai. They turned a discount war into a full-blown cultural spectacle.
Wow. Did it work?
Oh, it worked. Maybe too well, from Meituan's perspective. On August 8th and 9th, Taobao flash purchase hit a peak daily order volume of over 100 million. And crucially, they actually surpassed Meituan's daily volume for the first time ever.
That must have sent shockwaves through Meituan.
Absolutely. A huge psychological blow. Meanwhile, JD, they wisely stayed out of the milk tea craziness.
Smart move, probably couldn't afford it.
Right. They did a tiny, limited thing instead, first bite of fried chicken in autumn, offering a super cheap chicken like 1.68 yuan, but only at specific times. Very small scale compared to the milk tea battle.
So Meituan is reeling from this. How did their leadership react?
Well, the pressure was clearly immense. The CEO of Meituan's core local commerce division, Wang Pushong, he actually broke an 8-year silence from that core leadership group. He had to come out and address the market.
8 years of silence. What did he say?
His main message was basically bravado, arguing that this massive surge in orders, people ordering 5 meals a day because of discounts, it's just foam.
Foam? Meaning temporary, unreal.
Exactly. He argued user habits are sticky. Once the subsidies stop, people will go back to 3 meals a day. You can't buy real loyalty with free milk tea, essentially.
Okay, that's the argument. Did he promise to fight back?
He did. He said Meituan would fight back, but claimed they'd do it leveraging their existing system, their operational efficiency, implying they could sustain the fight with far lower financial losses than Alibaba.
Is that realistic, though? Can they withstand that kind of subsidy pressure without getting badly hurt?
Well, the numbers suggest it's incredibly painful. You look at forecasts, like from Goldman Sachs, they project Meituan's operating profit, their EBIT could drop by 25 billion yuan, just from these subsidies.
25 billion yuan. That's huge.
It's more than half their entire profit from the previous year. So this isn't just a minor dip. It forces Meituan into really tough choices. Fight the price war today or fund crucial future stuff like AI and overseas expansion.
And it sounds like the worst isn't even over. I heard whispers about Alibaba planning an even bigger push.
Yeah, there was an internal memo circulating suggesting Alibaba's subsidy intensity is actually set to peak in September.
Peak. Why?
The goal seems brutally clear. Use this peak spending period to try and filter out and capture maybe 200 million core, high-frequency food delivery users, lock them into the Alibaba ecosystem.
So the milk tea thing was just a warm-up act.
Seems like it. Just the appetizer before the main course in September.
This is intense.
Yeah.
And it brings us to the organizational side. How are these companies changing internally because of this war? Alibaba obviously has deep pockets, right?
Oh, yeah. Massive cash reserve, something like 600 billion yuan, huge net profit. They can afford to burn cash. But, and this is key, they're fighting expensive wars on multiple fronts.
Like what?
Well, they're still battling Pinduoduo and core e-commerce. They have huge investments going into AI development. And now this incredibly costly head-on fight with Meituan in local services, it stretches even their resources.
And for Meituan, you mentioned the tough choices. This domestic fight must be hurting their other plans.
Absolutely. Being bogged down in the subsidy war here in China, it directly impacts their ability to fund crucial long-term plays. They need to invest heavily in AI. They have aggressive expansion plans for Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Latin America.
If they pull back on those because they're bleeding cash at home.
That's a huge strategic cost down the line. They risk losing future growth engines because they're stuck in this domestic price war.
And this war You said it exposed some past weaknesses in Alibaba,
Mhm.
organizational issues.
Yeah, it really highlighted the organizational rigidity that hampered their previous attempts to take on Meituan in delivery. People forget Alibaba tried before, and those attacks often failed or fizzled out.
Why?
Partly because internally, the delivery business, like Ella.me, was often seen as this money-losing side project. It wasn't considered as important or, frankly, as noble as the core e-commerce businesses like Taobao and Tmall, which made all the profit.
So working in delivery wasn't prestigious within Alibaba.
Pretty much. Leadership roles there sometimes felt like internal exile. Bonuses were lower compared to the core e-commerce teams. This internal culture, this hierarchy, it blinded them for a while to how critical local services and high-frequency delivery actually are.
But this current war, the sheer intensity of it, finally forced a change.
A fundamental change, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Alibaba had to react, and they did it with something they're calling the big Taobao strategy.
Big Taobao. What does that actually mean? Is it just a rebrand?
No, it's much deeper. It's a major structural overhaul. They actually merged Ellie.me, the delivery arm, and Fliggy, their travel service, directly into the main China e-commerce business group, pulled them into the core.
Okay, so breaking down those internal silos.
Exactly. It signals a philosophical shift. They're moving from being just an e-commerce platform to defining themselves as a large consumption platform.
Covering more aspects of a user's spending.
Right. It's about integration, connecting what they call far-field e-commerce, that's your regular online shopping on Taobao or Tmall, with near-field services delivery via Ella.me, travel via Fliggy.
So it's all one ecosystem now,
Yeah.
sharing users' data.
Sharing users, goods, location data, everything. It's meant to be seamless. And crucially, within this new structure, Taobao Flash, purchase the instant delivery part, has been designated the highest priority business, top of the list.
That's a massive internal shift in focus. And it requires real-world changes too, right? Like building local infrastructure again.
Yes, which is interesting because for years they seem to be moving away from heavy physical assets. But this war forced their hand. They need local infrastructure to support near-field delivery effectively.
And we see that playing out with Fresh Hippo, their grocery chain.
Precisely. Fresh Hippo's strategy has visibly changed. They used to focus on these specialized, often membership-based ex-member warehouse stores. Now, they're closing those down.
And doing what instead?
Planning a huge, rapid expansion into 50-plus new cities, aiming for over 500 regular Fresh Hippo stores. They realized those physical stores are vital nodes in this local delivery network war. They need that footprint.
Okay, so they're integrating the businesses, prioritizing local delivery, building the physical network. How do they tie the customer into all this? Build loyalty across these different services?
Good question. They launched a new free Grand membership system.
Grand membership. How does that work?
It's designed to work across the whole Big Taobao ecosystem. It coordinates benefits based on your behavior across everything: shopping on Taobao Mall, ordering food on Ali.me, booking travel on Fliggy.
So if I spend a lot on Taobao, I might get better discounts on my food delivery.
Exactly. It's a unified loyalty program, and it's clearly designed to directly compete with and try to neutralize Meituan's own long-standing super membership system.
Okay, so we've seen this whole arc. Smart strategies that didn't quite work, leading to this insane cash burn over milk tea, which then forced Alibaba especially into this massive internal restructuring.
Yeah, that's the trajectory. And the sort of key takeaway here is that while the goal might have been the whole instant retail market, groceries, medicine, everything, the fiercest battle, the place where they've actually managed to move the needle on volume and consumer habits is cheap food delivery.
Especially those impulse buys, like the tea, the snacks.
Right, which
Yeah.
creates a lot of that FOMO Wang Pusong talked about. Low-cost items, potentially low loyalty, people chasing the cheapest deal, the 10-cent coffee, the super cheap fried chicken.
So that milk tea battle, while dramatic, wasn't really the end game.
No, I don't think so. It proved subsidies can drive massive volume. It proved Taobao could actually beat Meituan on a given day. But the real turning point, the decisive moment, probably hinges on this upcoming September subsidy push from Alibaba.
Can they turn all that quantity, all those cheap orders, into actual quality users? People who stick around when the prices inevitably go back up.
That's the multi-billion-dollar question. Can they convert volume into loyalty? If they can, they might actually reshape the market. If not, they've just burned an unbelievable amount of cash.
It's fascinating. This whole war is changing how people shop, how companies are structured.
And potentially how we live day to day. If these huge subsidies continue making instant delivery incredibly cheap and convenient, you have to wonder if it starts seriously eating into traditional e-commerce's market share. Why wait 2 days when you can get it in 30 minutes?
And here's the final thought to maybe leave you with, thinking about the really long-term impact.
Yeah.
If instant delivery makes food, especially snacks and small meals, so readily available and so cheap all day, every day, could the basic human rhythm of 3 meals a day actually change? Could we end up normalizing 4 meals? Maybe even 5?
It's a provocative thought. Are they fundamentally trying to re-engineer our daily eating habits just to win market share? All sparked by a fight over cheap milk tea.
Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in to the Deep Dive. And hey, if you found this discussion useful, maybe learned something new, definitely hit that subscribe button. We do these deep dives regularly, exploring valuable ideas.
We appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.